Oh, there! It's me, my Scotch and I. 'Cause OB is the guy. OB is the guy.
Good evening, and welcome to Me, My Scotch and I. I am Obi Spencer, and we are the Spanglish Sports World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app from either the iOS or Android App Store. The app is free. Please rate it. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire and Fire TV sticks, Roku and Roku sticks, and all smart TVs 2016 and forward. This show is broadcast on 4 continents and in 35 countries. Have you ever heard of Kendo, the Japanese art of the sword? Well, it's actually a sport that has a large following in both Japan and Korea, where it's known as Kumdo. There are clubs all over the world, with over 100 clubs in the United States alone. Kumdo is not only a great martial arts to compete in for all ages, it also has a huge impact on pop culture, as it is the inspiration for lightsaber duels. Joining me today to discuss Kendo as a competitive sport and pop culture phenomenon is Christopher Johnson. He's a black belt in both karate and Kumdo, as well as co-founder of the Kumdo at KIP program. Chris, how are you today?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure. Been waiting to get you on for quite some time now. So, Chris, I know that you are a huge martial arts enthusiast. A couple of black belts, studied jiu-jitsu as well. Where did this intense love of martial arts come from?
That's a great question. I guess it all started when I was not even a teenager yet, and I stumbled onto what do they call it? They call it Kung Fu Theater, the old Saturday programming where they had it, one or maybe a double feature of some kung fu movies, and I don't know. I watched that. Actually, I remember the first one I watched. The one that really hooked me was the 36 Chambers of Shaolin, or sometimes called Master Killer, where they got Gordon Liu became a Shaolin monk and learned kung fu. That movie and a ton others just got me interested in martial arts, which got where I actually wound up finding out about a karate dojo nearby my home in North Jersey, and that's where it took off from an early teen.
So basically, you early teen through your whole adult life, you've been doing some form of martial arts or another.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Yeah, yep.
Okay, all right. So we're going to talk about Kumdo today, which is surprisingly a relatively simple sport. It's when you play it as a game, it's the race to 3 points. Best of 3 points. And you score a point by hitting somebody in the top of the head, on the wrist, across their abdomen, and if you're really proficient, you can jab them in the neck. But for something that easy, it takes years to master. Why is that?
Well, yeah, like even our school's master says it's simple. It's four targets and that's it. But the ability to do it well with all the things that are supposed to go into a strike, one, let alone, getting to your opponent and getting to that target. But a lot of things have to happen. You just can't whack somebody with the bamboo sword over the head. It has to be proper form. Their body has to be doing you strike and you stomp at the same time, and you also yell or ki, and you have to demonstrate awareness of what you're doing and where you are. All these things come into play. So, it's supposedly simple because 4 places you're supposed to hit, but if you don't hit it properly with all those things coming in concert, the judges won't award you the point. So it gets very complicated and even nuanced, I would say, which really makes it kind of interesting, even more interesting than I thought when I first got into it.
Right, and that's one of the two reasons that you have dubbed the sport the golf of martial arts. One is that the swing has to be perfect. It's not just like you said, hitting the target. There's all these other factors in hitting the target, the timing of the hitting of the target. You can't go for the head and hit the wrist, or go for the wrist and come across the body. It just doesn't count. You have to be the one initiating the contact, even in a counter strike. So all those things, the perfection of the swing is one of the reasons you call it the golf of martial arts. What are the other reasons that is what you've dubbed it, and it's kind of caught on?
It's kind of yeah, it's funny. Yeah, when we were interviewed for our program at KIP, I kind of how I got used to describing. I kind of say it's the golf of martial arts because of that reason. Also because it's expensive in some ways. There's a lot of gear that costs a lot of money that you have to take on. Clubs cost a lot, and so does some of the gear that you have to bring on board when you're practicing Kendo, Kumdo. But the other thing I think, my opinion, um, in some in some ways, sometimes this martial art has a little bit of if not, um, it's not directly tried to have this, but sometimes it comes across a little bit exclusive. A lot of times when you find um, Kendo club or dojo or Kumdo club or dojang, they're affiliated with an Ivy League school. A lot of the times um, the members are usually a lot of doctors and lawyers and professional people, and there are not that many of them. So there might seem like there might be a little air of exclusivity there, and sometimes I at least I attribute that a little bit with golf. Not that Kendo Kondo people aren't great and they want people to try it, just that you can't find it everywhere, and there's a little bit of it's a challenge with accessibility to it. So that, in my mind, might lend itself to be calling it the golf of martial of martial arts.
And I promise you, we're going to dive a little bit more into your Kumdo at KIP, or your KIP Kumdo program. But I want to go to the furthest end opposite of that right now, which is what I know the least about. And I know you and a few of the other folks you know follow, is really what's happening with Kumdo as an international competitive sport. I know there was just recently a tournament. So what's happening there? How are they handling the pandemic? How is the sport going? Who are the big teams involved in it? Things like that.
Oh, well, I mean, a lot of the major tournaments, at least from what I see, they're trying to make them happen, but they are happening with the COVID-19, the global pandemic restrictions. So it's not as many people, not as many players, not as all those restrictions that we see, I guess, in traditional sports that cause the experience to be a little bit different. You just had the All Japan, the big Kendo tournament in Japan a little while ago, and it looked different, when you're watching it because of the amount of players, the 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 restrictions and the things they had to do to make sure everybody was safe. Um, yeah, things like that. Um, it looks a lot different than it did a few years ago, or a year ago. Um, but I think everybody's trying to do this. A lot of the countries that are involved, or I guess Japan, Korea, other nations that have a strong kendo um, background, they're opening up their clubs, their dojangs, their dojos, and they're making the proper they're taking on the proper restrictions to still train. It's not the same yet, but it's getting there, I think. I mean, everybody's trying, and a lot of people are doing a lot of home training and a lot of online training. A lot of a big part of training is also watching. So I know I've been watching a lot of videos, old footage, just to see what I can pick up on. And it's a martial art so fast. I really relied on that slow motion and to be able to see things. But yeah, I think a lot of change, a lot of changes in the past year or so. But I think we're getting there. We're gonna come out of it, and a lot of people are itching to get back to um, all the tournaments that we have and all the training that we could possibly make happen.
One of the other things that, again, I don't fully understand that is interesting about the sport from the Japanese and Korean perspective is the practitioners from town to town on the town teams or the local teams are actually town employees. They're police officers, and then they bring them together to make the national teams. Is that what goes on? How does the national team get made from these local teams, or does a particular local team make it to the national championships when they get to all world and world championships?
Um, you know, what I know is that you have, I guess in Japan, you have a major element of Kendo is their police force. And I think in the police force, you have to have some sort of martial arts focus. It could be judo, it could be karate, or kendo, at least those. And the police officers that choose kendo get really good, and they have their own high level tournaments, and they have their own and many of those players from the different police organizations, they turn out the best that go into the big tournaments, the All Japan or the World Kendo Championship, those things. But then I got to see if in Korea with Kumdo, you got to see a lot of professional teams, like actual players, and this is their full-time job, where they're actually competing as a team member of a local team that competes and at varying levels of competition, and eventually get up to a national level, that kind of thing. Our head instructors, our school's master, was a professional, and then they eat, sleep, and Kumdo. And 2 summers ago, I got a chance to go to Korea to train, and even get a chance to, I don't know if I could call it train with. I mean, they let us come on the floor with them and train some of these professionals, the professional Kumdo players in Korea. And woo, man, I can't remember that many times I've been that exhausted. And we get there, we train with them, they're exhausted, and we were done, but they take a break. They're coming back for another 5-6 hours.
Absolutely. So I don't know if I've ever discussed this with you. One of the crazy things to Kumdo for me, and I don't know if this is cultural as an American or what. When we go to a Kumdo tournament, the first part of the tournament is the individual tournament. So, everyone out there, imagine a bracket, and you go, and then somebody wins the bracket, and they're the champion of the tournament. After the individual brackets, you get your team matches, which are 5-on-5 matches. One guy on each team goes against each other, and they make their way through. The big deal in the tournament is that team championship, not the individual championship. If you think about a sport like wrestling in America or whatever, you have your, like, if you think about the high school level or even the college level, you have your regional area tournament, and there's a team that wins that. But the only guys who make it to the next level are the guys who won first, second, or third in their division. And so we are focused on that individual championship. Kumdo is focused on that team championship. How's that sit in your brain. I'm not complaining. That's not just a different mindset that I think is great that I'm getting from Kumdo.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point because yeah, the whole above the individuals, it's the team competitions that that you wait to see and you want to see and get the most notoriety and all that such. This is just me, and I kind of had this thought. And I was kind of wondering, why that is, how that is. Um, Maybe it's kind of like because um, with these teams, at least in the World Kendo Championship, which is a interesting animal, I guess I've heard. I mean, it's almost like yes, I'm trying to find a way to say this that's not in the pejorative, but it's kind of like your country going against another country, like a little bit of a war, if you would, and it's a combative sport. So it's like that team, that my country
National
versus your
pride.
country, national pride. That's kind of it. Um, I mean the other sports that don't break up to individuals like I don't know hockey, and you think of you know when one nation goes in another nation, you think back in the when we were kids in the '80s and such, and the big rush Soviet Union versus United States, and that team those team matches, they just had that weight of it because it's the group, it's all that's behind the group coming to compete it out, and a whole nation behind them has bragging rights. So I guess those team competitions, those team level competitions, they just get so much behind them. um, um, but it's it's funny you mentioned that because I would also think that too, because you don't. Yeah, we know like the high level individuals, but it's the team um, Kendo champion of the year of that tournament that really gets the notoriety.
Even our club, when we won the team championship, I don't think we didn't win the individual championship, and nobody even spoke of it. I don't even. And if we did, look, you're looking like, did we? Did Jung win? And it's like it's so irrelevant that the team won. However, any individual person did that particular, nobody even remembers, and it's just that is a. And again, it's kind of like before any, if you took, it's kind of like if you took the NCAA Child's Championships and you said first we're going to play a bunch of one-on-one games to find out who the best player here is. And
Mm,
then we're going to play the full 64 tournament. And then nobody cared who won the one-on-one games. And that's the world of it.
mm, yeah, yeah. But it is cool. I mean, when we're talking about our school, our dojang, our group won the team championship, it was a big deal. You get the team champions get the banner and they get a special recognition, if you would, and it was neat. And it really and it felt good celebrating as a group. And it wasn't only just celebrating as the team, the members of the team that competed, but the whole dojang, because we all beat up on each other and we all learn from each other. It definitely reflects on the whole school, and we all felt that. It's like we're all here together. We all made this happen, made this win happen this year because of the collective, and that was cool. That's a cool feeling and dynamic, I think.
So now, getting away from the tournament world for a little bit, an aspect of Kumdo that doesn't show up there is Kumdo's forms. Now, I know you've studied karate, got a black belt there, so you know karate forms. I don't really fully have the full breadth of your jujitsu experience and whether there's even forms in jujitsu. So we'll just focus on the karate and the Kumdo and the
Yeah.
different experiences that you have when doing the different forms in those two sports.
Oh. Let's see. Well, at least from the Korean Kumdo side, um, well, let me back up. I mean, in karate, the forms of the kata are um, a major part of what you learn to advance, what you learn to find, what the moves of those katas, those forms teach you, so you could actually um, be proficient at the practical application of it, the bunkai, if you would, the things that actually, when you do this form and people are wondering what are they doing, well, they actually will should work or help you in an actual confrontation if God forbid you got in something. So and those katas, they just get higher and higher, and they hard and harder and more intricate. Um, I think the same. I'm still learning the Kumdo Kendo side of the forms, and basically the forms that we would do um, instead of using the bamboo sword that you compete with, you use a wooden bokto or a wooden sword, boken in Japanese, and you do a two, if you would, two-person form together, and man, yeah, they get it gets so nitpicky to make sure that you're getting these the nuances and the proper technique right. It's challenging. Um, I also find it challenging trying to remember stuff at my age now. But um, I mean the forms in Kumdo, and a lot of, and when I say Kumdo, I also talk about Kendo. Um, they're they're interesting because they harken back to what this whole thing comes from, which is the uh, the art of the sword, the way of the sword, if you would. And when we're competing, we're fighting with the bamboo swords in our armor. It's nice to engage that. Hey, this comes from actually thinking about battle and engaging someone else with a sword. Like, you almost get to do a little time travel in your mind. And then when you get to the wooden swords, or sometimes, eventually you get to use actual metal swords, and they might be sharp as well, and do those same forms, it brings you back to the reality. Like, this is serious life and death stuff, and it does deserve my full attention and my focus, just to as honoring that um, honoring the art, but also keeping everybody safe. But it's I'm still doing my best with the forums. They're challenging because you work so hard at the bamboo fighting and the competition stuff, and you have to do the forums, and you have to import that information, and it gets challenging.
Yes, and again, it's a little frightening to do the sword forms, in that even with the wooden sword, when you do a form, and when I was in Taekwondo and I did a form, if I made the wrong sequence of moves, the only person who did anything wrong or was in any risk was me, because I just wasn't, there was nobody there. But when you mess up the form in Kumdo, there's somebody standing there expecting you to stop a sword or block a sword or not block a sword. And yeah, that's why we start with wood there
Yeah,
before we get to the metal swords, because a bonk on the head is better than a slice on the head.
indeed. Yep, yep. And yeah, it takes a lot of focus and practice and control, and that's why they still implement. That's why we still do them. They're part. You can't move on to different levels in your kendo until you've um, demonstrated that certain forms, and they just keep on adding on and adding on. So um, yeah, they're important.
So now you're not just a martial artist; you're a martial arts family. You have children involved in martial arts, and you went ahead and you wrote a book about that. So can you tell us about your book? It's about
Oh, sure. So, I usually have one at the ready to grab, and I definitely will grab one. But um, uh, my son started karate. Well, I enrolled him in a karate class in a dojo. I guess he was still technically three, a little young, and and this was before that. I had been in a period where I stopped, where I took a pause with my own training, and um, but I was always still engaged with how much karate training meant to me, and I wanted my son to experience this. And um, he, oh, he wasn't four yet, so he didn't have much say. So, but I put him in a really wonderful dojo, not far away, and um, he stuck with it, and he started pretty young, so he stayed at his white belt level, the first level, for a while. But then eventually got to the point where a sensei was saying, "Hey, he's ready to test." And when the first almost every karate and any similar to karate martial art, the next belt is a yellow belt, and um, he actually eventually tested for his yellow belt and he passed. And a yellow belt is just it's not the biggest thing in the world. It's not like he's getting his black belt yet, if you would, or something, his third degree black belt or whatever. But for a young person, this was the beginning of a journey. This is where he got to experience um, um, learning something, demonstrating to others, showing that you're studying, you're serious, you're engaging, and that you're striving to achieve. And the book, and I'm gonna grab a copy right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, it wasn't
uh,
that far away.
no, wasn't that far away. Oop. Is the making of a yellow belt, and that's what it's about. My son's journey in doing such, and um, um, in this book, which was wonderfully illustrated by Amanda Crabtree, um, we we detail the story with a little bit of a fantastical twist. I mean, it's not just his learning martial arts, or his learning karate, but it's also, well, the title is Daddy's Dreams, the making of a yellow belt, and that's Dad having his little fantastical um, ideas of what my son's going through, and basically adding on a fantastical martial arts movie to my son's karate experience, and that's what I think makes it really fun. And the illustrations are wonderful, I believe. And through the process, you learn that not only did he learn, did he grow, but he also inspired his father to get back into training, and now we train together, and yeah, it's a great children's book on Amazon.com. And I don't want to steal your thunder or go down the road, but when you buy this book, a portion of the proceeds go to my not-for-profit that helps um, young, at-risk, and vulnerable youth experience martial arts training, and we're pretty happy about that. Um, yeah, second book's in the works too. It's my daughter's journey with Kumdo, with Kendo, so that's on its way.
I I really enjoy the book because it does two things that not every children's book does. It exposes the father, in this case you, living vicariously through your child, which sometimes we as parents do. Oh, I always wanted to do that, or I wanted to do that better, and sometimes we put extra pressure. But then it has a happy twist where you say, "Oh, I'll just get back into it myself. You do your pace, you enjoy your journey, and I'll take the journey alongside of you, not from behind you, pushing you and pushing you and pushing you." And I think that's a great message for parents that's hidden in your book. Now,
Thank you. Yeah.
we're going to take as I mentioned earlier, Kumdo. It inspired a whole generation after generation after generation of people, because it's what they taught Mark Hamill and the rest of the folks in Star Wars. So before we really go down that path, let me ask you a question. So we mentioned that Kumdo is a team sport, and the way it kind of works is you want your first guy to go out there and win his match, so that your team's up and it puts you in a better spot because ties will work out for you. So you want someone usually aggressive and fierce and fast and powerful. And then towards the end, the fifth guy who kind of goes is your anchor. And he's got to know, he's kind of got to be your best thinking man, because he might have to win. He might need to get, or just be good enough to get the draw, but he's going to probably be going up against the best guy on the other team. So if you go through your mind in the Star Wars universe, who would you have as the guy who goes first? And who would you have as the guy who goes last?
Man. Oh. Woo. Huh. Oh, man. Oh, separating Team Light versus Team Dark?
Yeah, just the Star Wars universe here.
Wow. All right. First. Oh, this is fun. Who's gonna bust it out first? This might come surprise, but I don't. I think you do want kind of that powerful first, kind of like bam, kind of set the tone. Maybe that's Mace Windu. I don't know.
Okay.
Just because that might shake up the thing. Second.
Oh, you're gonna go through it all. I just wanted first and last.
Oh, first. No. Okay, no. Last. Fifth. I guess I just come back to Master Yoda.
Okay, so I the reason I didn't want you to go through all five is I hadn't thought about all five. I had only had my first and last pick. I totally agree. Number five's got to be Yoda. There's really no one else. But I was going to come out with Darth Maul first, just fast and furious, and the double sword, and just that was my number one.
I can see that. I can see that.
So next week we're going to go back to our fashion scorecard, but we're going to continue with what we're doing. We're going to play a little game here called Star Wars or Martial Artist. So if we can bring up our file and just we'll go to the first screen here. So Chris, with this game, you're going to get given a name, and you got to tell me if they're a Star Wars character or a martial artist. And we're out here to have fun and inspire a little conversation. So we're going to start with Qui-Gon Jinn.
Star Wars.
Let's see. We'll go to the next slide. Obviously, Star Wars.
Yeah. Played by Liam Neeson in the movies.
Absolutely. Played by Liam Neeson. It's interesting because he's the Obi-Wan to Obi-Wan, takes him on the journey, and then, of course, passes away, leaving Obi-Wan to take care of our young Anakin Skywalker, and sets the tone for the prequels. All right. Let's see who's next. Bruce Lee, Star Wars or martial artist?
I just finished one of his books called The Art of Expressing the Human Body. Bruce Lee is a martial artist who created his own style, Jeet Kune Do. Was originally taught by Ip Man, Wing Chun, martial artist.
Let's see if we're right about that. And of course, we're right about that. And Wing Chun, interesting you should mention that as we head to our next individual. Let's see who we have here. Donnie Yen, martial artist or Star Wars?
I'm gonna have to say both.
Both.
He
Let's
was
take a look. And of course, it is both, as he is a Star Wars character and a martial artist. But when he's not making movies in America, who is he usually performing as? None other than the man you just mentioned, Ip Man himself, is Donnie Young.
Man, yes, yep, great
All right.
series of movies.
Yes, a great series. I was so excited to have Donnie Yen in the Star Wars universe. I am a huge fan of what he does in his movies. I know you mentioned that you love martial arts movies. All right.
Yes.
Let's go on to our next guy. But before we do, I need to remind everyone that we're Me, My Scotch, and I. You can find us on TikTok at me_my_scotch_and_I, where you get nice clips of these shows, as well as the other show I'm on here on the Spanglish Network, the Sports Den, and a few of my other random thoughts on sports, fashion, and drink throughout the week. And then this whole show is on Me, My Scotch, and I on YouTube. And then we take the segments that are on the show, like the fashion scorecard or Star Wars versus martial arts, and give those quickly to you so you can go and just watch your favorite segments. Let's see who our next person is. Now we're getting tougher. Tian Median, if I'm saying that right.
I'm gonna have to go with, and I have to admit that this, unless there's something back there I'm not putting together, maybe that's a name from somewhere in the canon that I just can't place. But I'm gonna go with Star Wars.
Let's see. That is correct. One of the more evil-looking characters, but he comes out, he scares us, and then he just gives Obi-Wan the heads up.
Yeah, he's under duress right there. He's he's letting Obi-Wan know that the General Grievous and the gang are around.
Absolutely, we covered a lot of the prequel. Now you and I, we're a little older. And the prequel came actually, I know, before I had children. Mine are older than yours. So did you watch them on your own? And what did you think of them as somebody who was definitely from the original era?
I watched them on my own. And see, maybe I'm not the best yet, because like Star Wars is, for me, is the child that could do no wrong. So even the folks that had problems with the prequels, and I get the problems with the prequels, I still enjoyed the prequels. I'll still watch them over again, even though as I watch them over and over, there's things that bother me a little bit about them. But I mean, it's still, I mean, Star Wars is that, that place you like to visit, that you just want to go back and hang out and be around, and if it's the prequels or the A New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi, or even the latest ones, and all the sides, the side ones, Han Solo, Rogue One, that kind of thing, Mandalorian. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna be there.
That's
So,
awesome.
Prequels are fine. Yeah.
Let's see who we have next. That is great. The undying Nien Numb.
I'm just gonna go Star Wars.
Let's see. The thing is, he is from Star Wars. You know, when he says it's a trap, he's not breaking the fourth wall. You know, somebody had to be there to hear Admiral Akbar, and this is the man who discovered that the shields were neither up nor down. There was no readings.
Mm-hmm.
In Return of the Jedi, for those who don't know. And let's go to our next one here. Masahiko Kimura.
Well, martial artist.
Let's take a look.
Yeah.
The move Kimura, for anyone who watches mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from. Now, when I went to do this list, I was like, oh, okay, let's see what we can learn about folks. And, you know, Bruce Lee I threw in the front, and many people consider him the greatest martial artist of all time. In this list I found, Masahiko Kimura was considered the greatest martial artist of all time. He used the Kimura to beat Helio Gracie. And he didn't just beat him in a judo jiu-jitsu submission match with the Kimura. Broke the arm of another all-time great. So Masahiko Kimura, now we know where we get the name for those of you who love a good mixed martial arts fight. And let's check out our last character, Soo Young Kim.
Yeah, sounds familiar. I hope he likes Star Wars, but this is definitely a martial artist, grandmaster, and
let's check it out.
Let's check it out.
So there you go. This is Soo Young Kim. You probably can't see him in the picture, but he's right in the middle, next to the bald guy with the beard. That's me. On the far left-hand side, there you are, Chris. In the front row. Yep, there's a few other kids, and included, missing from this picture, I did not realize. It's hard to find a picture of the three of us, so that's why this is the one we chose. Now, Master Kim, as we affectionately call him, Soo Young Kim is the youngest man to reach 6th Dan in our Kumdo sport. But he also is a great supporter of us and at ETJ. So why don't, as we bring this picture off, you explain a little bit about what ETJ is?
ETJ is a 501c3 not-for-profit based in the United States, and ETJ actually stands for, wait for it, Enter the Johnsons. The little bow to a great martial arts movie, but essentially it's our 501c3 where we actually, it came out of the Kumdo and Karate program, where members from SYK, where Master Kim has the academy that's the Kumdo Academy, Kendo Academy that Master Kim runs. Members from that, myself, teach Kumdo to youth out of the KIP academies in Camden, primarily the Landing Square Middle and Landing Square Primary KIP academies in Camden. It's a longer story about how we got there, but the KIP Academy brought us on board after we expressed that we'd like to volunteer our time to expose your scholars, to your young scholars to this martial art. Um, Pretty soon after teaching there and having a degree of success, we realized that the young people that are taking to this, that really want to continue with, they need more. They need more time. They need more the ability to do that, and maybe they don't always have the uh, the funds or the access to get to a Kumdo Kendo school club. So we formed a not-for-profit to make sure that they get that opportunity to be able to train um, more than the sessions we'd have at KIP, but also be able to train and be members of SYK Sword Academy. And not only that, we'd blossomed not only into um, them training and having more opportunity to be have the whole full experience of being at a part of a school, a martial arts school, but also to be able to compete in tournaments with the martial arts schools, with as a team, as a member of SYK Sword Academy. So ETJ, after identifying young people that want to train in the martial art of Kumdo Kendo, we make sure that they are sponsored, financially sponsored with martial arts scholarships, if you would. And so happy and proud that we have a wonderful board, and I guess I could say that Obi's one of our founding board members, and we're all doing our best to expose kids to martial arts. And I originally told you about my beginnings in martial arts, but another part of me starting this 501c3 really connects to, as you get older, you look back and you think about all the important experiences that formed you and formed you in positive ways. And I can never look back and not run over my experience with the martial arts. And
Excellent.
I was fortunate. My parents were able to financially support me to get me into a school, but a dojo at the time, but also get me there with rides and all the other things that come into it. And not every kid has that.
No,
So
they don't.
we make sure that ETJ does our best to help and augment a lot of the youth we encounter. Their parents want to do this, and they do. They help, and they but we all need help sometimes, and we're doing a little bit to help them, because hopefully one day our sponsorees, they'll look back and or they'll be in a situation in life where they need to navigate something or deal with something, and not necessarily a fight or a conflict, but something they could draw from their martial art experience to deal with. And that's what I found. I found that my martial arts helps me.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
that's what we're trying to do.
So we're gonna drink to that, because that's some good work you're doing.
Okay.
So we're gonna start with our Corsair small batch triple smoke, which I hope you should have poured.
I did, and I'm a lightweight, so I'm gonna be,
Oh no, I am not a lightweight, but I don't drink the whole thing, I promise you. So we take a look at this. This is a very cloudy, nice thick amber color. Give it a twirl and a smell. Oh, that is sweet, almost like.
It is sweet.
It smells almost like a cherry throat lozenger. It's sweet, and it still burns a little. So we're going to go ahead and give this a sip and taste it up. What do you think of that? And you took a nice, healthy sip there. I like that.
I like it. It was I still get the sweet. I'm trying to. I get a little. Maybe that's just. I got a little smoky in there.
Yes, you absolutely should
Did you
have.
get that too?
Yes.
Okay.
It starts off sweet, and then that smoke comes in. Now, for those of you who drink scotch and peaty smoke, it's not that smoke. It's a different smoke. Not something and then a little tart, but lingering warmth, but not a strong kick in the mouth type of bite.
That's great. You got that. That was a great description because that's what it was. Yeah.
Excellent. I'm very proud of you to notice the smoke. Now, next thing we're going to go with is the Uncle Nearest 1856. I'm not going to go into the full story of Uncle Nearest right now. Maybe when we finish this, we'll go back and discuss who Uncle Nearest is. But just know, Uncle Nearest is the man who actually taught Johnny Walker, not Johnny Walker. Oh my goodness, I'm skipping the names out of my head. Jack Daniels, how to make whiskey. He was an African American man, and they recently re-examined their history and realized that's who had taught him. So take a good look at this this whiskey. It's definitely, it's crystal clear compared to the previous one, but still a nice rich color still.
So I'm trying to clear my palate and my nose.
Yes. Is it grass? Like, is it just like?
I was gonna say I was thinking fruity, but let me go again. What is that?
Banana? It's a different smell. I've been smelling it for I smelled it before the show and couldn't quite give it a name. So let's go get a good sip on this one. It's like a spicy sweetness. It's like when somebody says this food is sweet and savory at the same time.
Yeah. When you said spicy, that definitely almost like I got a little vanilla.
Okay. Yeah. You're for someone who told me he doesn't drink a lot of whiskey, you're very good at finding a flavor in there. I'm quite impressed. Not gonna lie.
And I'm trying. More recently, if we're having dinner and we really try and pair and think about what we're having with like if it's a wine and really like this is good. And it's funny too, and many people know this maybe, but different beers could be very complex. And
yes, absolutely.
And, pairing them and just having them with the right meal is cool. And then like identifying like what was that just ran over my tongue, and that taste or that smell, that experience.
Absolutely. So we have 1 minute left. So I know it's hard. Wow. It's a hard choice here. So I'm going to ask you to make it. Which one would you vote for? Was it the Corsair we had first or the Nearest we had second?
Wow. Oh. That's tough.
Right. It's a tie.
I'll go with the Nearest because it was the last one. But I also like it. Just looks clear, nice and clear in the glass too. That's probably persuaded me. But they're both great.
Excellent to hear, Chris. Thank you for joining us. It was great. Next week, as I said last week, we really will have sports agent Anthony Solano. Very excited to have him. But of course, I am still searching for my sacred bottle of Ron Burgundy's Great Odin's Raven Special Reserve Scotch. When we get our hands on that, then we will track down and get ourselves an interview with sports movie legend and comedy superstar Will Ferrell. So until next week, have a great day, great night, and enjoy a good drink. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
It's a show with Obi and his rocking hat. If this was the 90s, he would be all that. It's me, my Scotch and I, 'cause